How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Iranians striking Iraqi military bases where U.S. troops were held. And also, we got to talk about Donald Trump's response to it. Now, there's a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. Not just the Iranians striking Iraqi military bases, not just Donald Trump's response. We got to talk about plane crashes, earthquakes, all kinds of things that may or may not be related to this incident in question. Now, let's start from the very beginning so we're on the same page and you understand what's going on. And then we get through all the details of what's happening over the past few days and weeks. Now, we all know about General Soleimani, the Iranian general that was killed in Iraq by a U.S. airstrike. We all know about that. We all know he was a bad guy. Well, most of us know he was a bad guy. I mean, some people in the Middle East think that he was a good guy. There have been quote unquote celebrations, propaganda, maybe not, digress. Some people love this man. They revered this man. They saw him as like a really big figure. Kind of the same way we see some of our big figures over here in the US. He was seen like that by some people over there. At the same time, he was not liked by a lot of people. There have been protests against Soleimani and the entire Iranian regime in Iran. And a lot of them were killed by people like Soleimani and his people, but we'll move on. He was loved and hated, regardless of what. It set off a big time reaction, and the Iranians felt like they had to do something to respond. Now, what I'm hearing from some reliable sources is that the Iranians, through proxy means, contacted the United States and the Iraqis to say, hey, we're not trying to kill any Americans. We don't want any kind of casualties. We're going to strike right here at these military bases, but we don't want anybody to die. So people were evacuated from these places, or they were able to take shelter in bunkers or whatever to avoid the missile strikes. Now, some say the missiles intentionally missed their targets because no missiles actually made any kind of contact. And I think a lot of them didn't detonate. Some of them may have been intercepted in the sky by a missile defense system that is in place in Iraq. Now, I don't know if the missiles intentionally missed their target. I mean, the missiles are pretty accurate. Remember, Iran was able to shoot not one, but at least two drones out of the sky. And I'm not talking about these little toy drones. I'm talking about these big drones the size of a commercial airliner. Really big, expensive $200 million drones they were able to shoot out of the sky. They've also hit oil fields with pretty precision, pinpoint accuracy. So I don't think that they actually missed on purpose. I think they wanted to hit the target or very close to it, but at the same time, they didn't want any casualties, which is why people were warned ahead of time that the attack was coming. This reminds me of what we did with Syria towards the very beginning of Trump's presidency, where they were forewarned, hey, the attack is coming, get out. And then we hit an airport and nobody died, nobody got hurt. The same exact thing happened here with the Iranians striking Iraqi military bases. Now, lucky for them that nobody got hurt, even by accident, because if somebody were to be hurt, then Donald Trump's response to what they did may have been much different. Now, that's a great segue into him. What was Donald Trump's response? If you've not seen it, I'll place a link to the stream that I did earlier today in the description box below. Basically, he said, look, nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured from the Iranian strikes on Iraqi military bases. So there's no purpose in us trying to, strike them and kill them. There's no reason in doing that. We can have a civil dialogue. We're going to put sanctions on you, which is what they had been doing. So that's not anything new. We're going to put sanctions on you. And the hope is that we're able to lift these sanctions and get into some peace talks. Okay. Iran can be a great nation again. So he was really complimenting them. But at the same time, he was trying to send them a message like, you can't just do whatever you want to us because we're going to respond harshly and swiftly, which is why the Iranian general was killed. Like I've said before in other videos, what Iran does, what they had been doing for the past 40 years since the theocracy, is engage in these little proxy wars. Okay. They will use other people to attack Americans. And through proxy means, this guy Soleimani was responsible for the death of about 600 Americans, probably more than that, but at least 600. And I'm talking about things that the Iranian government, through him, would orchestrate and use others to execute to attack Americans. This whole thing with the embassy being raided, the media wanted to paint that as, oh, well, these are Iraqi protesters. They're just getting upset at the Americans. No, no, no. This was the Iranians sending a militia, organizing it through a proxy means to attack the embassy. This is what they do. But the Americans have put a line in the sand. We've said, look, you want to attack us over there? You can't get away with it. We know what you're doing, and we're going to attack you directly. That's pretty much what it's going to be. The Iranians don't want war. We don't want war. We know that it'll just bring about more death and destruction that's not necessary for either side to have happen. So we don't want to go any further. We're going to de-escalate the situation. Now, of course, the mainstream media, well, mostly the left, I'm seeing people on Twitter talking about, oh, how was it de-escalation to put sanctions on them? All this, that, and the third. Well, it's like, we were already doing that. So to have sanctions is nothing compared to actually dropping a nuke on them and turning the whole country of Iran into a skating rink or a parking lot. It doesn't make any sense to go about it that way. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what they think. All that matters is that we're not going to get into another endless war, at least not anytime soon. Now, we got to talk about the plane crashes and also the earthquakes. Let's start with the earthquakes first. There were some earthquakes right by nuclear sites in Iran, right around the same time of them launching the missiles to the Iraqi military bases. Now, I don't know what's going on with that. I'm hearing that it's not related to the nuclear activity because the earthquakes were very deep in the earth. So it's a little bit too far deep for it to be a nuclear explosion or a missile dropping on them. So it might have just been a natural thing, kind of a message from the big man upstairs, like, hey, you're doing the wrong thing, wagging the finger type situation. The bigger thing here is the plane that crashed. There was a plane with about 180 people on it. All 180 or more died. It took off from Tehran, which is Iran's capital. About 7 minutes after takeoff, it crashes. Now, the official word is that the plane had mechanical issues. That's the official word, but it seems kind of fishy. Look at this. You have the missile strikes that happen 4 hours before this plane crashes. Is there a coincidence here? Is it just happenstance? You got earthquakes, plane crash, missile launches. Will all that happen at the same time, basically? It's kind of weird. I think there's a little bit more to it than that. I think the plane was shot down, quite frankly. And the reason why I think that is because the plane was heavily fragmented. And what I mean by that is it was a lot of different pieces on the ground from the plane. And aviation experts say that one of two things happened. Number one, there was a very heavy impact with the ground. Or number two, that there was an event in air that caused the plane to break apart in all these different pieces. The event could have been a bomb or it could have been a missile, meaning it was not just, the plane had a malfunction. There was some kind of explosion, like something happened physically to the plane in the air that made it crash down to the ground in a lot of different pieces. I'm thinking that Iranians accidentally shot the plane down due to the missile defense system falsely picking that up as a threat from the U.S. Maybe, just maybe the plane was in the wrong flight path or whatever. Anything could have happened. The same thing happened in Ukraine. I think, what was that, last year, 2 years ago? I think there was a passenger plane shot down in Ukraine by the Russians or somebody because it was a mistake. It was an accident. Things like that happen. Ironically enough, this plane was going to Ukraine. There were mostly Iranians on board. There were some Canadians, but these were Iranian Canadians, meaning they're from Iran but lived in Canada, and they were just going back home from their holiday vacation. Really unfortunate, and rest in peace to all those that passed away, innocent people. I don't have enough info to say that it was shot down or that it was not shut down, but it looks very suspicious. The official word from Iran is that it was a technical issue. So that's pretty much what we can roll with right now until we know more. They did find the black boxes, but they will not give them to Boeing. Maybe they think Boeing is an American company and they're going to be hostile towards them. They're going to try to spin it or hold the boxes hostage or something like that. I don't really know, but they have not handed over the black boxes to Boeing as of yet, as I'm speaking right now, which is Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. So overall, this whole situation ended as well as it could have, in my humble opinion. We're not going to have a further escalation of war. We're not going to declare World War. People talking about, oh, it's the end. The end times are upon us. I think that's a little bit overblown. We're not going to be there anytime soon. A lot of crazy things have happened, but I think that it's going to be calm for quite a while. The Iranians want the nuclear deal back, but it doesn't really matter. They said they couldn't get nukes or they couldn't build a nuke in a nuclear deal, but say nothing about the missiles. So all the cash that Barack Obama and them gave the Iranians, they probably bought missiles with that with the purposeful intent to use them on us if it ever came time to do it, which is what they may or may not have tried to do yesterday. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Trump had the correct response to the Iranian attack on the Iraqi military bases? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was it not a good response? Do you want to see war? What should he have done that he did not do if he did not do enough in your particular point of view? I think he was consistent. This has been what he's always said, that we shouldn't be in war with Iran. We don't need to be over there. And I think I knew he would do this because yesterday he was talking about, well, we can't break law and go over there and strike their historical sites. So we're not going to do that, although that had been put out before. So he's interested in following the law. He's not interested in, just making a bunch of enemies unnecessarily. We already got enemies over there. Why make more? Why, get into perpetual war? It's not a good thing. We're going to protect ourselves. We can be a pushover 100%. But at the same time, there's no purpose in getting into a war that really has no winners, even if we do win. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.